Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I am here today with my best friend for almost my whole entire life, Rebecca. She now lives in Canada, and we are just going to talk about her mental health journey and her journey living in Canada, raising a child, and what her life looks like. So, hi. Are we going by Rebecca or Becky today?
Let's go by Rebecca.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Hi. I'm
Hi.
happy to be here. This is fun.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for joining me. So, we are going to talk about maybe we'll just start with your mental health journey or kind of motherhood, I guess, wherever you want to take it. What do you think your mental health journey has been through your life?
I think that I should have started therapy when I was much younger. I've been in therapy for 2 years almost. So I hate to start that as my mental health journey as when I started therapy, but I kind of do because it kind of is when I really started thinking about my mental health and paying attention and learning about it, putting words to certain emotions and understanding kind of what I was feeling and learning so much. Like when I reflect on like my youth and my adolescence, is whatever I can remember, is just like puts things in perspective from this point of view as an adult, which is really helpful, especially really helpful a parent of a 3.5-year-old, and also the help of you being my best friend and also being a therapist and getting that kind of, I think, internalized mental health stigma that is very deep in my family. Like, I was just having a very long conversation about that yesterday with my sister, and just about like, yeah, mental health in general. So I'm glad to be the one to be sharing thoughts about mental health with them as well.
Yeah, I love that. And you and I talk all day long,
Literally.
w- honestly, all day long across multiple platforms. And I think part of that is because we are so far away from each other, but we also just like relate and understand each other. And we're very much in the same season of life. Both, your son is 3.5 and my daughter is just turned 3. So w- went through pregnancy at the same time, gave birth during a pandemic, had all of these things happen together, which is pretty cool. But I want to know, like, what happened 2 years ago that made you jump into therapy?
So I struggled with, I don't even know if it's diagnosed. I'm not diagnosed with anything, but from my kind of my own research, which is never a good idea. Well, it's sometimes a good idea because it did help me get into therapy. But I struggled with driving anxiety and anxiety in a vehicle for 5 years prior to going to therapy. And really, I think becoming a parent is one major push for me to go into therapy because I want to be my best self for my son and also my family in general. And I really wanted to tackle that anxiety while in a vehicle. And then that just, kind of opens up a whole other part of my mental health. It's like maybe it's not just one thing, maybe it's, history or past traumas or whatever it might be, but that was the real main thing. I wanted to in the beginning, I wanted to move past. I wanted to stop that anxiety. I wanted to be able to drive and not freak out when I was on the street, like panic attacks in the car, those kinds of things. So when that really got to my like breaking point, I decided to go to therapy.
Did your driving anxiety start when you moved to Canada?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. I drove to Canada alone. And I think part of that, there is a point in when I was driving, because I also talked to my partner the entire time on FaceTime. Like, I was on the phone with them the entire time. And I they often remind me that I was crying hysterically during a part of the journey that I don't remember at all. And I still haven't tapped into that in therapy, that like that memory. So I don't know. I mean, I've had a few incidents while being in a car before going being before moving to Canada and driving to Canada. So I don't think it was that was like an incident that caused it. It wasn't like, I don't know, an incident that like triggered something. I think it was past like negative experiences in vehicles, like when my parents when like my mom finally like moved on to getting a divorce from my father. Like I remember a very significant point of being in the back of a police car, and I still have the memory being in the back of a police car and just like not knowing what was happening, and like, and then I don't really remember what happened after that. I just remember like being in this car.
Mhm.
And then I had another incident with a past partner where I was in a vehicle, and it was awful. They were like very rude and disgusting towards me. So that was also like a major incident in a vehicle. So I think it just kind of compiled.
Yeah, and then driving across country into a new country
Yeah. Alone.
alone with a lot of unknowns. I
Yes.
understand that that would be overwhelming and terrifying.
Yeah.
Do you want to tap into that memory of driving to Canada? Do you remember most of the drive?
Yeah. I do remember most of the drive. And I sort of remember, like, I can see it. It was like, it was dark. I remember lights. I remember the curve of the road, but I don't remember crying, which is really interesting. But obviously, like, my partner remembers me crying because they were on the phone with me. And, I don't know what they said. I have no idea. Like, yeah, but I do want to tap into it. I think I actually have therapy this afternoon.
What a lucky day for you.
I know. So I have this therapy of talking to my bestie about mental health, and then I have therapy with my therapist.
What
Double the therapy.
what a great Monday for you. I love that. How has the being in therapy the past 2 years changed your life overall? We'll go smaller in a minute, but
Mhm.
overall, how has it changed it?
It has helped me feel more knowledgeable. It's just helped me gain knowledge about what is actually going on inside of my mind and body, and that it's just reminders that I am capable. I have done this before. Just whenever I go into therapy, I'm always like, I don't know what to talk about today. And then it's just like, like, sure, that's probably pretty common. But like, I think it's just so important to be able to talk to someone with no bias and no like expectations and stuff like that. So having the knowledge from that perspective to be able to tackle anything that comes my way, that is the biggest takeaway from therapy.
How has it shifted your parenting?
Well, I started therapy a year and a half into being a parent. So it has definitely helped me like be more present and not like I was very concerned about driving with then again that's where this whole kind of therapy started for me. I was very concerned about driving with Kelso and like that increased panic. And I did have a panic attack, panic moment, whatever we want to call it, with Kelso in the car once. And that's like, whoa, like this is not okay. Like, I gotta I gotta be better for me to be better for him kind of thing.
Mhm.
So, was that answer your question?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I forgot what the question was after rambling.
My question was, how has therapy shifted your parenting? And I think you answered that.
Yeah, yeah.
And just being able to show up in a healthier way,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
from my personal and professional perspective, I don't think your anxiety is ever going to go away around driving. And I think even as also me who has anxiety and who had a lot of intrusive thoughts around driving when Noah was born, it's still there. I can learn all of the coping skills and do all of the things, but it still pops in and out sometimes.
Yeah.
And I know even you've done this work around it, but like even still, when we're talking in the mornings on our way to work, I know your drive is long and we're just like essentially talking through and like processing through that together everywhere you go.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think recognizing that anxiety is always going to be there and an- other anxieties in my life increase. So anxieties increase each other. So like, anxiety around being in a new place, being in Canada, being somewhere I don't know. Even though I have a great support with Tennille and like Tennille showed me around when we were living in Toronto, like showed me around and like I got familiar and I made my own friends and like got into my own things and stuff like. But that is definitely an anxiety that is released. Other anxieties, and then the driving anxiety, maybe it was there because I when I was a kid, I went on a roller coaster ride, the what's it called? The loop? The one with the log at Valley Fair where it goes into the water? Remember
The
what it's
log
called?
chute
Yes, the log chute. No,
at
that's
Mall
at
of America?
no, that's at the one at Valley Fair. Anyway, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like that. It's like the log chute. And I was at the top and I was adamant I had to get out. I was freaking. And that you can't, like, you have to go. So that's like another thing that because I was in a therapy session, I was just like, that's a part. I remember that being very, very panicky moment, like where I had to completely run away. So
Yeah, anxiety heightens anxiety,
yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
worrying about things, and I think feeling out of control makes it way worse. And when you're driving, there's a lot of things that are out of your control, like
Yeah.
everyone else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. How
Because
is there Oh, go ahead.
it's not around me. I'm not worried that I'm gonna do something wrong necessarily.
Right.
It's because, like, I think I'm a great driver. I am very confident in my driving. My dad is a great driving teacher. Like, so, like, talking through that in therapy as well, it's like, it's more about the unknown
Yeah.
than the known that I'm a great driver, and I will always be a great driver.
And I think just safe and aware,
Yeah.
like maybe sometimes too aware,
Yeah.
but the priority is to keep everyone in the vehicle safe.
Yeah, one thing my therapist said was like, "It's good you have a bit of anxiety," or maybe that's not the way she said it, but, like, it's good that you're aware and conscious of, like, the concerns and not just, like, on a whim.
Yeah, that would be dangerous.
Yeah. And a friend recently said that too, and he was like, "I think more people need driving anxiety." He was
Hopefully.
like, "I wish more people had that." I was like, "Okay, well, maybe not that way, but yeah."
Yeah. Or maybe just like we're more mindful in their driving
Yeah.
and less distracted and less worried about themselves, the millions of other people on the road and around them.
Yeah, and I would also say, like, my with driving specific driving and anxiety and, like, what I would experience is, like, I would be paying attention to my anxiety more. Maybe I probably should have been paying attention to the road. So it's like, why am I doing that? Like, I'm making it worse, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you're giving it more attention and
Yeah.
feeding it more, right? How's therapy shifted your relationships with Daniil or anybody?
It has helped me really understand myself, which helps me to understand others and give others the same amount of grace and space and everything they might I can help with, I guess, or that I can give in order for them to be better or be whatever they need in the moment. I think especially around like talking to my sister and my mom the other day about mental health, it's like it's not a conversation that they now maybe so and more so my sister, but for my mom it's more like, it's just something that she takes medication for. So, having some knowledge and some words to put to certain situations that I've learned through therapy to connect to her or to anyone, my dad, my brother, anybody. I think that's really helpful.
Do you think your experience in therapy has made them more open minded about getting help?
Yeah, I think me talking about it because I'm kind of seen as, you know, how do I say it? Like, I have a family. I say without sounding terrible, being like the youngest and, just saying something bad.
Not bad. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I think you are the one. I have known you a very long time. I know a lot about your family. I know your family. I spent a lot of formative years with your family. I think you are the one who is wanting to break the cycles and do something different and better.
Yeah.
And that's not bad. That is what we need for our kids and the next generation to have a different experience in life.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it because I'm, living in Canada. I moved to a different country for love and for family and to build a family. And that's pretty major. But I think that me talking about it really allows it to free flow in conversation, talking about therapy specifically, allows it to kind of come up in conversation. And I talk about the things that I'm talking to my therapist about and share things that I think might be helpful for people, my mom, my sister, whoever. And, and, I'm, if I learn something that I think somebody else can benefit from, I'll share as much as I can.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think anything that you're doing is a negative or bad thing. We all want to be better and to like shed or shake off some of the trauma and experiences that we had growing up so that we can do that. I want to know what it's been like to raise Kelso in Canada.
So I'm in Ontario. I'm in what do we call it? Southwestern Ontario. And so far it's been all I know.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that I was very close to my sister when she was raising her kids, but it's very similar to the States, to be honest. Just like when it comes to like how schools are kind of it's a little bit different how schools are organized, but it's very similar as far as like going to daycare and just kind of those kind of school systems, very similar. Obviously, healthcare is free, you know, with the OHIP, Ontario Health Plan, but Canada has a very different political system. So when I think about like the States and Canada and politics and all of that, it's a lot different. It's a lot there is a lot more attention towards the Indigenous communities and things like that. So when I bringing that up from recent last week was Truth and Reconciliation Day. So just, honoring the Indigenous communities. And I just think about how different that is. And with Kelso is, first generation Canadian. So he, has two immigrant parents and queer parents and was conceived with a sperm donor and that's a whole other episode we'll talk about
Yes.
all of that. But yeah, he just has a lot of layers to his identity already. And I think that's very receptive in Canada, at least I hope. Like there's still obviously issues when it comes around race, gender, everything under the Human Rights Code, but it's very much a place that I think is growing in that way. And raising Kelso as an individual in that world is exciting. And I also see, you know, I see similarities in the States, but also more growth in Canada. So I'm happy to be here.
How do you think so your partner is very involved in I'm maybe going to say this all wrong, but like politics and education and activism
Yep.
among a lot of other things. And I know you and I have had um, hundreds of conversations about protests and rallies and things that have happened surrounding those areas. How did how does that impact your mental health?
It definitely increases my worry and concern for Kelso. I am very fortunate to have a partner that shares a lot with me and being Black and being queer and working in the school board and working, you know, in various different realms and sectors, but that's kind of at the core right now. I have the opportunity of having that knowledge shared with me, and that is major. I think that not knowing something is one thing. Like it's one thing to just kind of ignore something and just say, "Oh, that's someone else's problem." But then you have a child who's biracial, multicultural, and sharing knowledge of I'll never know as a white woman, even, as a white queer woman is a little bit different, but as a white woman, I'll never know the experiences. So I can only learn and do what I can to kind of break those systemic barriers and having a Black son, which is also another conversation, but it makes me worried for him. Like I was actually just thinking yesterday, like I am worried for school years to start because of all of the kids and the impact and like I can't I'm not trying to control it and that thought didn't even actually cross my mind until right in this in this moment. But I am concerned. I do have concern but I am happy to have a partner that is sees life differently than I do. And I'm learning how to stand up for certain things when I'm when I see something that I just know is wrong, I'll say something. And I think that's important for everybody. And when it comes to my mental health and making sure that I can say that I remember the moment in my life when I recognized that I had privilege. And that was long before Kelso. That was long before my current partner. Like, that was long, long, long time ago. And I was very stressed when I learned that. Like, I just remember this moment. I was like, my mental health was not in a good place because I was like overwhelmed with all of these feelings of like something just opened up in my mind. And I was like, holy crap. Like, I have this, I'm responsible for something. I need to make sure, like, I know everything as much as I can about it in order to not do certain things that hurt and harm people. That's where I got to that point. I got to the point of knowing, or the point of like understanding race, because there was an incident where I was in the wrong and like I learned from that. But that was very hard. Like, it was very, very difficult. And I had been in many, you know, mixed race, mixed culture relationships, mixed gender relationships, and it was it was a point wasn't with a partner, but it was with a friend, and yeah, it was intense, but it's the unknown opening up and cracking open your world, and that needs to happen in order for growth and change and good stuff.
This is maybe a big question. Is your future in Canada?
For now it is.
Yeah,
It might be on a beach somewhere too.
I'll join.
No, for now it is, yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right. As much
Yeah,
as I don't want you to be there forever.
I know, but I mean, I get nervous thinking about politics and all of the nonsense that's happening in the States and it's happening here, of course, too. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on, but it makes me even more nervous with the impact it's had on the States.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole another like 5 episodes in itself of living in the United States right now.
Yeah.
Do you think your privilege has more positive or negative impacts, like, on your relationships? Maybe it doesn't have really much impact at this point now that you're really aware and working on it?
Yeah, I definitely I mean, the privileges that I experience as, a white female identifying cis woman, like all I'm very white, I'm very female. Like, they're never going to go away regardless of if I'm in a relationship or not. Like, I think that the privileges that I have and that I'm aware of and that I need to just make sure like I stay aware and I don't forget them, and I equity is not the same as equality. So raising up individuals who need that extra boost to live and sustain life and be happy and be joyful and doing those things where I think even prior to that moment I was explaining earlier, I wouldn't do. Like, yes, I'm like shop local, do all the little things, but it's beyond the little things. It's learning about other individuals, it's learning about other cultures, it's being friends and having legit, like, conversations and open conversations with people to receive information and not just to say, "Oh, well, great, check off that conversation." It's not like a tick box, it's like, yeah, the privilege is always gonna be there, so recognizing how it's working in the room or in the moment I'm in and how I can shift things. Like, as an example, in like early on in my marriage, we would always get the question first, you know, queer marriage, multi-gender marriage. Uh, I'm queer and then my partner is non-binary. And I would always say, like, the server would come up when we were at dinner or something. A server would come up and say, "1 bill or 2?" And we would always say, like, regardless, 1 bill or 2, it didn't matter, whatever. When we would say 1, and I would always say, "And they're paying." Because, like, being the white person in the in the relationship, there's just, like, they would always look at me as if I was the one that was gonna be paying this bill, and I would always say, "And they're paying," just to, like, completely throw them off. And we don't get it now because we live in a place where we go places that people usually know us. So they're always like, "Hey, Rebecca, hey, it's Amelia here again. Great. Wow, where's Kelso?" Like, all those things. So that was in the beginning of the relationship. And I would still do it to this day if we had moments like that. But that's just an example.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
So we just are about out of time. I have a question. One final question.
Okay.
What is one piece of advice that you would give to anyone listening?
Be open to change. Be open to things changing, things shifting in a way that you may not have considered or didn't even think that could change in a certain way. Just be open to any amount of change. And the roller coaster of life, which I often call it, will come up and down. And it will always come up and then down and then up and then down. And then let it plateau and then up. And then it's just inevitable. So just be receptive to change.
That's great advice, especially living in 2023
Yeah.
when things are constantly changing. So, well, I want to thank you for joining me today. It was a pleasure to have you on. I will have you on again so we can talk about all of the other things. But thank you for joining, and everybody, thank you for listening.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.